I make it no real secret, especially to those students and staff that I work with, that I really cannot stand working at a desk. You can ask Tammy, she knows from experience, and I literally just had a conversation with Dr. Novak about it this morning. I remember 6 years ago, right after I was ordained and I was placed in my first parish, I walked into my office and I sat at my desk and I just thought, what do priests do at their desk all day? Turns out we do a lot of things, and most all of it is not enjoyable. I spent a great deal of time during the pandemic sitting at a desk. I was at a parish at that time, and it was all about crunching financial numbers and making sure the parish could pay her bills, and my staff had their salary, and PPP loans were distributed where they ought to be distributed. All of this stuff is important. All of that stuff is very important. And I just find no joy in it. It is just not an enjoyable thing. And thank God, I am just really grateful that God did not give me that particular gift. Right? And I know that I am, just one among many. So some of you have the gift of working at a desk. And thank God for you, right? Because I think without Mike Poster, right, sitting at his desk, then we would not have an appropriate budget for this university, and this department wouldn't have their funding, and we would just be a hot mess. So God gifts us different interests and passions and gifts. And mine is not a desk. If you think about your time that you have spent here at Ambrose, whether that be all 4 years or you transferred in halfway through, those moments of life that made you laugh or smile or cry, those moments, they most likely didn't happen during a stats exam or a business management presentation. Those moments of laughing and smiling and weeping, they are moments of intimacy, relationships with other people that made you feel, that allowed you a space to belong, and to belong as you are. In the reality of the desk, I think we find just a really beautiful teaching for all of us. Desks can often become barriers to this intimacy and to the lived experience of human life. Because life is not about desks. And life is also not about work. Life is not about how long you can sit typing at a computer or how many emails you can get through in one good sitting. And life isn't even about being successful. If you want to know the true meaning of life, all you need do is look at the person that sits next to you or across from you. You close your eyes and you think about the people who make you smile and feel and cry and laugh. The meaning of life does not lie in any external thing that we will ever do or ever accomplish. Instead, it lies in the human heart and in the soul of every living person. It is your capacity to love, our God-given capacity to love one another. Perhaps the key to understanding this is to spend some time recognizing your own self-worth, your own self-love, your own need and thirst for God. God, someone to whom you owe everything, your life and your breath, your blue eyes and your love of fresh tomatoes, your just fascination with the moon and the stars. That's someone who has gifted to you over and over and over again, gifted the presence of love and of relationship, given over to us the gift of changing the world. This I command you, love one another. It is our responsibility to live that call, that command, and live it in the most authentic way that we can. That gift, mine and yours, to change the world is not as grandiose as we often might think that it is, because it doesn't start out there, it starts in here, with me and with you. We should, each and every day, be reminded to examine our own lives, to look into our own beings, and there to root out all that is self-deception, and all that is divisive, and that all that is deceit. But we can't ever do this. Ever. You cannot do this unless first you love yourself. Love yourself and know yourself to be loved and worthy of that love. And in that space, to dig deep and be real. If we desire for this resolve to love, which I hope we do, then we must first learn to love ourselves. With that love of self comes love of community. And in that same love, we look at the various communities to which we belong. And we know that we belong to a lot of them. All of these multi-interconnected families. Here on this campus, this place that you have called home for years, the greater Davenport community, Chicago, Peoria, Cedar Rapids, the Twin Cities, your families. This ever-expanding relationship to which we belong. Those communities require that we look at them with love also, and with scrutiny, and with care, and there to challenge those communities, including this one, to be better, to be more. Be better as a community. Be better as a person. Be better as a people. Probe more deeply into your relationships. Invest more time in learning from one another, our differences, our similarities. Take serious our prayer. Work hard. Because we are commanded to love one another, and because we want to experience this love, do we not? Because we do, we must challenge ourselves, our communities. But it doesn't end there, right? Because we also live as members of this nation and as members of a particular faith, be that Catholic or not. These institutions are not perfect, or exactly what they can be or ought to be. If we were to examine carefully the inscription at the feet of the Statue of Liberty, we would recognize that, in fact, we don't do all that great of a job in welcoming the poor and the outsider and the marginalized. We can, and as a nation, we really ought to do better. This is not a criticism made out of political motivation, which we hear way too much about everywhere we go. But because and if we love, then we will call it to be more. And so also with our faith, because we love it, because we are it, then we will call it to be the gifted community that God intended it to be. Love is the reason that we exist. It is what drives us forward out of this end and into your new beginning. And it is the only thing that will bring you meaning in life. All of you who are graduating, you are the generation that will break open this sky. And you will set the first feet on Mars, and you are the generation of new doctors and new nurses, social workers and lawyers, stay-at-home moms and dads who will usher in the next generation. But none of that will matter, none of it, if we do not learn to love, to fall madly in love with ourselves and with each other. We are made, you are crafted for so much more than this world promises you. To borrow a line from Saint Teresa of Calcutta, you are not called to be successful. You are called to be faithful. And this I command you, love one another. I want you all to know that you do possess the ability deep in your hearts to change the world, to make it a better place. And you will change it. You will make it better. If only you remember the true meaning of your life. Remember why you were created to love and to be loved in return. So as you celebrate this weekend, and we celebrate with you, and you are filled with pride at your accomplishments, which you ought to be. And as you say your goodbyes, and you close this door, and you open whatever lies on the other side of the new one, do not ever forget who you are and to whom you belong. A God who has crafted you out of pure love to be you and to be the best you. And in your you-ness, to fall absolutely in love.